It's another beautiful morning, and of course we are here to do what we love to do best, that is to inform you, educate you, and entertain you. Welcome to the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. I am Olumide Shokoya. Of course, I'm not flying solo. I also have the beautiful melanin popping Sarah Osuansa. How you doing?
I was just telling Vivian yesterday that I used to think you were, whenever we're on the show together, you flatter me a lot, you compliment me a lot, but I think you're in a competition with Vivian because, come on, thank you so much, Olumide. You look absolutely stunning.
Yes.
Is this baby pink?
I like to call it baby or hot pink.
Hot pink. I think I'll go with hot pink. Good morning. Welcome to the program. It's Tuesday, the third day in the month of September 2024, and we're super excited to be doing this with you. I am Sarah Obusoansa. We trust that your week started off great. You know, it's the month, we're in the Ember months already, and there are a lot of, myths and a lot of precautionary measures always follow the Ember months so much. You know, how to stay safe, how outside is not safe, in quote, and other things. So it's important that you essentially stay safe. If you're going anywhere, let someone at least know where you're going, be security conscious, take all of these precautionary measures, and I'm sure we'll have a hitch-free Ember month season.
Definitely, and of course save as much as you can for December, because
dirty December.
Right? Don't do dirty December these days.
Does the economy even permit dirty December?
No. Just be grateful.
I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and it was about events. There's a particular site, when you visit the site, you see a lot of events, and it was about events coming up in December. And the person was like, hey, with this current economic state, before you think of going for an event, you first calculate if there's food in the house, if you've recharged your prepaid meter, if you have fuel in your car, and all of those things. So these things have taken the forefront for dirty December, in quote. But still have fun in ways that you can anyways. But let's, you know that on the breakfast show we have a lot of juicy package for you, from our banters and etiquette to newspaper review to views from the net, interesting conversation, trending stories, weather forecast, all packaged for you. And as always, we kick off with our banters and etiquette. Now, on our banters and etiquette, we'll be looking at something very important today, which is financial etiquette. This is something everybody needs. And financial etiquette refers to the social norms and guidelines surrounding money management, financial interactions, and responsible behavior with personal finances. Now, financial etiquette seems to be lacking for many individuals who see a wealthy friend or member as someone who can afford to be generous to them in a variety of situations. Now, for the wealthy, it is not unusual for seemingly simple situations to become uncomfortable because of a disparity in wealth. Now, let's take a look at a comprehensive overview of financial etiquette. The first one we have is budgeting or saving. Budgeting and saving. Now, it's important to create a budget and prioritize your needs over wants. Also, save for emergency, save for goals, and save for retirement. Let me just touch on this a little bit. Sometimes growing up when we were in secondary school, we used to do a lot of economics. We did economics, and there's something called scale of preference.
Yes.
Right, and then we have needs and wants. I need a new pair of shoes, because a new pair of black shoe, because I don't have any and I need one to go to work, right? But I want a new wig. But I have like 5 wigs, but I just want a new wig because I want it. It's important to put your priorities first. You still have wigs that you can wear, but you don't have a black shoe that you can wear to the office. I'm just using that as an example, right? So these are things you need to understand. Before money comes in, budgets, very, very important. After doing your budgeting, you save. Most times I advise people to actually have a particular amount of money, especially salary earners, that they take out of their salaries every month. That okay, as soon as my salary comes in, I'm taking this 10% out of my salary for saving. I'm not touching it at all.
You know, I learned that the hard way, because sometimes just when you don't think it, things happen. You get your salary and you've paid bills, you've done everything, and you just have the little that will take you through the week, and your gas finishes.
That gas, you see that gas, like there's an evil spirit behind it, because the gas will always finish when you least expect. Most times at night when you're making dinner, and then you just realize that your gas has finished. But it's important to also save for emergencies, save for your goals, save for retirement. You know, as much as this is beautiful to say, it's not so easy anymore, considering that standard of living is high, salaries are not going up, the economy is not smiling. So if you could save 50,000 naira before out of your 120,000 naira salary, and then sort out bills, personal needs, family and all of that, now it might be difficult to even save 50,000 naira, because you're still collecting the 120,000 naira and your spending has increased, not because you're not prudent. But before, if you would use 30,000 for foodstuffs, now you're using 50,000 naira for foodstuffs. If you could remove 20,000 for transport before, now you're doubling it to 40,000 naira. So these things. But let's move very quickly. Another thing is spending habits. Now be mindful of unnecessary expenses. Avoid overspending and debt. The moment you get into debt, in fact, to come out of it is always very difficult.
Yes.
Also, credit and debt. Use credit responsibly and pay your bills on time. Don't keep postponing it. If you have the money to pay, just pay. Manage your debt and work towards debt-free living. Also, financial planning. Set financial goals and create a plan. Diversify investment and build an emergency fund. Another thing to look out for is generosity and giving. Practice charitable giving and support causes. Be generous with time, resources, and expertise. Next thing we're going to be looking at is financial boundaries. Set clear boundaries with lenders, creditors, and financial institutions. You know, one of the things I told myself at the start of this year is any money that I cannot dash you, I won't lend you. Now, that's in the context of depending on the relationship I have with you. There are people that I could actually loan a lot of money to and all of that. But if I'm not so close to you, don't really have, and you reach out to me to, you know, loan you some money, and I know it might be difficult to get my money back, I would rather, if you ask me to loan you 20,000 naira and I can afford to dash you 5,000 naira, I would rather dash you the 5,000 naira, and you know, I know that I've done that, because over time we've seen a lot of people break our hearts. You trust people, you lend them money, and to get it back. So it's important that you know, set your clear boundaries with lenders. Know your limits. I can't go more than this, or I can do more than this.
I think one of the things I learned the hard way is don't lend money that you've not already worked out how you will pay it back.
Don't borrow
money rather. So if I'm going to borrow money, I have already, there's a place where I know I'm going to get that money from. So it's not that. So because most of the time when I borrow money and I'm paying it back, it's very high. It's very painful when you pay money with your salary. When you're paying loans back with your salary, it's very painful because what you have left. So I decided that no matter how, I would struggle it out throughout the month, so that when the salary comes, I enjoy it, you know, as a whole.
Right. Also, protect communication and transparency is very, very important. Openly discuss financial matters with partners and family. Be transparent about your financial decisions and goals. Financial literacy, continuously learn about personal finance and money management. Stay informed about economic trends and changes. Avoiding financial faux pas. Restrain from asking intrusive financial questions. Also avoid boasting about wealth or material possessions. Very important. You also need to respect other people's finances. Don't pressure others into lending or spending. Respect financial decisions and boundaries. And the last one here. Okay, that's it. Olumide will take up the rest of it.
All right, so let's look at some of the additional keynotes on financial etiquette. Gift giving, you know, consider the recipient's financial situation and preferences. Yes, In these days, if you are going for an occasion and you don't know what to buy the person, it's always advised, just give them money.
Yeah.
If it's a wedding, naming ceremony, just give them money. They will need that money even more than you buying something they do not need. I mean, you're buying pots, pans, and probably they have all that at home. Just give them money. Also avoid extravagant or expensive gifts. Yes, I think the economy right now is helping us avoid all this. Loaning money. Wow. Clearly defined repayment terms and expectations. Yes, I always like, if I'm going to loan someone or lend someone money, it shouldn't pass a week. Because anything above that, human beings, we are humans. We are humans.
And you have to set it clearly.
Yes.
Okay, so when are you going to pay me back? Let's work within this.
And it shouldn't exceed a week or
I've
2 weeks.
realized that money actually, if not properly managed, can ruin beautiful relationships.
Yes, it does.
So most times I try to avoid situations that can trigger that. So if I can't loan you, because a lot of people also need to understand that the person is your friend, or that you have an idea of how much the person earns, doesn't mean that every time the person will be able to come true for you.
Yes.
You don't know what the person also has to sort out, bills, personal issues, or what have you. So people that get offended when you ask someone, maybe your friend, a colleague, a family member, or what have you, to loan you some money and they're unable to meet up with your expectation, you need to also understand that they have needs that they're prioritizing too.
All right, let's land here, and we'll have avoid lending to friends, just like Sarah said, and families if possible. Now, let's look at financial disagreements, address conflicts calmly rather, and respectively. Seek mediation or professional advice if needed. Now, financial privacy, we have respect others' financial information and boundaries. Keep personal financial matters confidential. I think we would stop there for now. And of course, like we all said, I mean, just try as much as possible. Always have a scale of reference. I have this list of how will I put it, of things I wish to buy, or things I think I need or I want to buy, so that when the money comes, when money comes, sometimes there are some thoughts that come to your head. I have this rule also. When you have money, when sudden money comes to you, the first thing that comes to your head, don't do it. The first thing that comes to things will come to your head, like I want to buy shawarma, I want to buy,
shawarma Olumide.
Don't do it. Just go back to your list and start taking it off. That, okay, what can this money take out?
What guides me, and I always tell people, don't spend money that has not entered your hand. Now I see a lot of people, I'm expecting one money is coming in the next 3 weeks, so because the money is coming, I take a loan this week of 100,000, and I'm expecting 150,000, and I spend the loan, and then guess what? The money I'm expecting doesn't come true. So don't spend money that you have not received yet when it comes into your hand. And if you need to purchase anything, don't wait until it's all accumulated. You want to set up your apartment, or you're trying to rent an apartment. It's okay if every month you have, this month I'm buying fridge, next month I'm buying a microwave, next 3 months I'm buying a television. If you can, don't wait until you are expecting one big money to buy everything at once. Start to buy your needs gradually. It will help you that way. And that's a safe place to land. We hope you learned something on financial etiquette this morning. We'll take a break and we'll be back to give you the newspapers for today. Do stay with us.
Welcome back. It is the newspaper review right now, and this is where we go into the national dailies to see what is trending on the national dailies. Don't forget, you can also take part in the conversation by calling 081-2184-0154. The number will also be displayed on your screen, and also you can stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and of course Twitter, or X rather, X formerly known as Twitter, at High Impact Studio. Let's start off with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. It's not the caption, it's really a sad one here. I have Boko Haram kills many farmers and others in fresh Yobe attack. We have just 3 riders to that story. It says burn houses and shops. State government plans mass burial. State government plans mass burial. Insecurity disrupting agricultural activities. This is coming from Northern governors. I think the rider that touches me most is state government plans
mass burial.
You
know, it's very disturbing that over the years we've seen these attacks on farmers for a long time now. And it shows how, yesterday I was reading, Vivian and I were taking the papers, and there was this headline that Nigeria ranks #2 of the country with the highest food insecurity, right? And you realize that sometimes we're not paying attention to the most basic things. Farmers are scared to go to their farmland. They are being killed. You know, their farmlands are being hijacked, and this is putting a very big strain on our agricultural sector. But we're not really channeling energy to fix those things, to nip it in the bud. We're rolling out certain measures that does not even get to these farmers in this area. So it's very disturbing to see that for years now we've not been able to properly manage insecurity, agricultural sector, farmers, and it's 2024. A lot of farmers have been killed.
It's really sad that sometimes when you wake up in the morning and you see this on the papers, it might just disrupt your day. It might just discourage you from doing every other thing. Let's quickly move on. Inspector General of Police Egbetokun gets 3-year tenure extension. Well,
I have no words.
The long awaited. I have no words too. I mean, I have no words. There's a limit to which you are supposed to rule or basically govern a particular institution, and when you are done, you are done. I mean, extending it would further cause a ripple effect. Besides that, we have amidst fuel scarcity, NNPCL becomes sole buyer from Dangote refinery. This is a report from the Daily Trust newspaper. Besides that, Yadua's mother dies at 102. Wow.
Yeah, our condolences to the family.
And moving on, we have this one. Below that, we have Atiku Obi, Kwakanso to unite against Tinubu in 2027. There has been, this is according to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, there has been a lot of dust being raised, rumors here and there, and well, they tried to do that even during the last election, before the election.
They didn't try to unite. They didn't try to unite. Now, what if they decide to unite for 2027? I'm just thinking, how would it be? Atiku wants to... well, I can't say they want to run for 2027, right? But I'm just trying to think of who their forerunner would be with a measure. You know, they call themselves the third force or what have you. So I don't know, but somehow I think I'll be excited to see something like that happen. Somehow,
it will be a formidable party, but like you said, who will step down is what matters, and who will be the best formidable competitor against the APC.
Fingers crossed.
All right, moving on. Presidency denies rift between Tinubu and Shettima. Wow. Well, I like that it's been denied, yes, because I mean we do not expect that right now. Now, this low that we have, Nigeria has second highest rate of food insecurity in the world.
That's what I was just
it's coming from Bill Gates.
Yeah,
and I remember
yesterday as well. I remember the headline too. It's still this morning.
Anything coming from Gates, better Bill or Melinda. I remember what Melinda Gates said about the COVID-19.
Yeah.
So, well, fingers crossed. Now, this last one is a major headline. End bad governance, lawyers and Amnesty International kicks as court remand protesters in prison. We have 3 writers to that story. It says here, it's an abuse of power. Police declare British national wanted. Protesters protest, not treason. Britain replies, federal government. I like that. This NSAS, I beg your pardon, end bad governance protesters are being charged with treason. And it's so sad. It's discouraging to even people in the future who would want to think about this. But, well, We'll try as much as possible to get our guest on it and see what he has to say about it. But I think that's all we have right now from the Daily Trust newspaper.
Right, we move very quickly to the Vanguard newspaper. 0812-182-0155 is the number to call. And this one has the major headline: fuel situation in Nigeria. Anxiety as pump price of petrol races towards 1,405 naira per litre. I'm just very disturbed. If this happens, we'll probably see a lot of people just sitting at home or walking long distances to their office. There are a lot of writers to that story. We can get the details on page 5, Vanguard newspaper. Just above the nameplate, we have this one that has to do with Forex. Renewed Naira depreciation begins as market turnover falls 25%. That's a page 19 read. Presidency denies alleged frosty relationship between Tinubu and Shatima. Now, if there's any case like that, it won't actually be made public. They won't accept or admit that it's a frosty relationship. So I'm not surprised to see that they are denying it. But it's on page 9, Vanguard newspaper. Beside that story, I don't regret joining APC, Amechi declares. That's a page 10 read. Nigerian Airlines not delisted from operating to US over safety. That's from the federal government. Details page 16. We have a pictorial representation of End Bad Governance protesters in court as court remands them in Kuje and Suleja prisons. We'll get into details when our guest joins us. 2027, PDP in talks with Kwankwanso Obi, says spokesman. And lastly, in the world of sports, Space 31, 2024 Paris Paralympics, Team Nigeria wins first medal as Sport Minister hails Bolaji. As we could not win medals during the help me out
Olympics.
Paralympics, we won our first medal, so congratulations. But
Consolation.
That's it on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, let's move on to the Punch newspaper this morning. It greets us with a headline: PDP governors and Wike may clash as the National Working Committee NWC meets Wednesday. Fingers crossed. Two riders to that story. NEC pressures NWC to hand over Rivers PDP to Fubara. Wow. PDP governors will address minister's threat at meeting, says Forum Director General. Just beside the masthead, we have two stories there. It says, I will work for citizens' prosperity. It's coming from Igodalo. That's on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. APC Lord Chair for leading vibrant campaign. That's on page 30 of the Punch newspaper. Petrol will be exported if marketers boycott product. This is coming from Dangote Refinery on page 19 of the Punch newspaper. Hospitals, tertiary institutions, electricity subsidy may gulp 188 billion naira. And besides that, NNPCL may stop petrol import as depot price nears 1,000 naira per litre on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Well, there's a pictorial representation here, and the caption says, hunger protest. Britain denies fleeing court. Britain denies fleeing as court remand 10. We read that story earlier on. Beside that, or below that, we have another one. External debt servicing rises to $2.78 billion. I'm not surprised. It's a CBN report. It's on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. Arrested Canada-based Nigerian woman threatening Yoruba risk 2-year jail.
Well, I hope. I'm super excited to actually see this. It was the guts and audacity for me. So it's interesting that she's actually going to face punishment for the kind of statements and threats that she rolled out. All
right, hopes as President Tinubu meets Xi Jinping today, signs bilateral agreements. Well, fingers crossed. But that's all we have right now coming from the Punch newspaper this morning.
And we check the Guardian very quickly. Sit at home. That's the major headline there. Insecurity, secessionist agitations, deep FDI trade in Southeast states. That's a page 6 read. Fuel scarcity, sack Kyari now. Coalition demands. We'll get into the details on page 3. PDP woos Obi Kwankwanso as CUPP rates Tinubu low. That's a page 3 read. Demand for Dangote's PMS intensifies as petrol hits 1,000 naira per litre. That's a page 3 read. Households lament may spend 54.9% income on food shun investment. You get details on business page 15. Tinubu, Buhari, Shetima, Osibajo may decide Ganduje's fate. That's a page 5 read. PDP says Wike not above party as disciplinary committee issues summons. The sheriff, what's happening? Get details on page 6, Guardian newspaper. And lastly, on the front page, Oyedele committee awaits federal government's approval on value-added tax increment. That's a page 3 read. And those are the stories on the front pages of the newspapers this morning. We'll take a break. When we are back, our guest will be joining us to analyze some of these headlines. Don't go anywhere.
Abrogate. Abrogate. Abrogate.
brother is a hero. It's okay. Your brother is not a terrorist. It's the country we find ourselves in. You know, the government is a terrorist. It's okay. Your brother is a hero. It's okay. Your brother is not a terrorist.
Now, thank you for joining us and for staying tuned. Now, we just watched the video of, a sibling, a family member of one of the protesters that was charged with treason by the federal government, the court, yesterday, Monday. And that's where we'll be kicking off our conversation this morning. Joining us to have this conversation is Dr. Adedayo Kayode, a socio-political technocrat who joins us virtually. Good morning, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you today?
Very well.
You were asking whether I've done so that we don't share with in your shawarma, because I have been talking about shawarma for breakfast.
Thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Month. Happy New Month.
Happy New Month. Yes, yes.
It's just very pathetic that one of the things that kicked off the new month, which we saw happen yesterday, Monday, the 2nd of September, was about 10 of the End Bad Governance protesters who, you know, they've been kept in custody for a while now, and they were finally charged yesterday with treason. And we know that the penalty for treason is a death sentence. Now, when you got that update, we saw the video, some of their family members crying because they just came out to protest and they might never get to see them again. I would like to get your reaction to this whole situation, the judgment, how exactly it could have been properly handled. And, you know, let's start off with that because there are a lot of things embedded in this.
Yes, you see, it is a bad omen, a totally bad omen for our democratic nation at this present moment in our history. You see, it is also a pity that the so-called personalities that have been claiming they fought the military to a standstill to give us democracy, that are now turning themselves into a situation that is even worse than when we are under the military. Under the military, for you to protest, you know what it entails. But when it comes to a democratic a nation, demonstration is part of the ingredients of telling a government that, listen, I don't like the way you are doing. So for you now to go out to be arresting those that participated in End Bad Government and then charging them with treason, it's appalling. I was reading another story even as regards that yesterday, whereby a Briton had also been charged,
and he was even declared wanted at first,
and even declared wanted before the guy now spoke out from wherever he is,
from the UK,
and then Ajaro and the secretary had now been invited. I mean, they now want to also hold them perhaps as an accomplice. So it's now becoming an unbecoming or palatable situation in our nation. No more freedom of speech, no more freedom of this, no more freedom of that. Then tell me, why is that democracy? No, why is that democracy? That we are planning to celebrate our 64th independence anniversary now. Are we now saying we are having independence without freedom? Independence without freedom? I don't think we Nigerians should allow this to pass by, because you never can tell who will be in that guy's situation tomorrow.
Now, Dr. Adedayo Kayode, you said you don't think we Nigerians should allow this pass by. I know that civil society organizations, human rights lawyers, political activists, a lot of people, we've seen Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, speak on this a couple of times. Deji Adeyanju has, been following up on this case to see what comes out of it. We've seen that they've put in so much effort, right? So at this point in time, with this judgment that has been passed on 10 of these protesters, bearing in mind that there are still some protesters that were not, charged with treason, we don't know what the outcome of that will be yet. What other strategies, or what else do you think these CSOs, activists, and even Nigerians as a whole can do to probably change the situation? Is there a possibility of that situation being changed? If yes, what else can we do? Because this is a very disturbing case for us as a country.
So many things we can do.
We'd like to hear them.
Yes, but before saying that, let me first of all appreciate Femi Falana, SAN, for making himself available when Ajaero was going to visit the police, which was a good one. Now, I don't see what happened there. This now should go beyond lawyers. It should go beyond CSOs.
All right, Dr. Adedayokayode, let me interrupt you for a bit. We have a caller, Nicholas from Lagos. Let's quickly get Nicholas's thought. Nicholas, please go on in 30 seconds.
Okay. Please, on this issue, I see Nigerians now as like democratic country. I don't think all these things the present administration are doing what is. One, people come out for demonstration. Why is it a demonstration? That is the number one thing they need to ask themselves. People come out to demonstrate because, one, they are not happy of the way the government are being run, the way the government are being managed. That's why people come out for demonstration.
Right.
You can't just come out and start arresting them. Yes, you arrest them because they have some damages or things when the demonstration went on. You arrest them. Highest you see them within the 24 hours, you release them and let them go.
All right, thank you for your thoughts, Nicholas. Right, thank you. Thank you so much for calling us this morning. Thank you. Dr. Adedayokayode, I'm sure you heard what Nicholas said. He was just contributing to, this whole situation on ground. So please go on. Let's still talk about this judgment and what measures, what other strategies we could use. You were thanking Senior Advocate Femi Falana for coming through.
Yes, you see, now what I'm saying is, the next stage we should go in this country should be beyond the barristers and the CSOs. We should now learn to include religious leaders and traditional leaders.
Okay.
Do you know why?
Why?
Do you know why? Because all of them attends one religious center or the other, either church or mosque. Imagine the imam of the biggest mosque in Nigeria joining hands with Baba Adeboye, joining hands with the man in trade, joining hands with
religious forces coming together.
Yes. Olukoya or Winners, Oyedepo, would they arrest them? Joining hands with Oni of Ife, joining hands with Oni of Ife, the one in Sokoto, the one in Meduguri, and then those citizens now follow them. Now tell me, would they shoot or would they arrest? Because these are people that have been giving them authenticity to stay in that office. They have been joining hands with them. Of recent, it met with traditional leaders. Of recent, it met with the patrons, led by Secretary of the Commonwealth. So let all these people come together. Because if we don't, at this point in time, rescue our nation from these repressive actors, Kai, who knows who's going to be next tomorrow?
All right, Dr. Adedayaka.
Who knows what are going to bring up tomorrow? Now, when you're talking of protest like the phone caller said, is to show grievances. As the grievances now being met, no, rather it's becoming worse.
More intense.
NNPC was just saying yesterday that it's owing $6 billion.
Yeah.
And I was asking, how are you owing $6 billion? The petrol that we imported, did you give them out free? No, did you give them out free? Were people not paying for it at different dispensing stations? Okay, now again, I was reading again this morning that, oh, listen, we have been importing PMS for so much. This is how much is being sold in Nigeria, but it's being sold times 2 of it in neighboring countries. And security agencies, top security agencies, are the ones exporting this thing out to go and make money. Or what's his name? Said this. And because of that, you are now suffering Nigerians. And Nigerians to suffer for the laxity in government.
Dr. Adedayaka, if I may come in. All right, since we're moving towards petrol, that's where I'm also going. I want to take this report from Punch newspaper, which says petrol will be exported if marketers boycott product. This is a statement coming from Dangote Refinery. Now, so my question is, why is he making such statement, and why would marketers boycott buying fuel from Dangote at the expense of the Nigerians having access to petrol?
I've answered this question several months ago, and I refer you to go and read one of my articles, or you go to YouTube and Google it. It's there. A bewildered nation, the connivance of the leadership against its people. Let me start even from gas. This same government, they encourage everybody to go and be using gas, and they brought the price of gas, they brought it down. Then when you want to buy 12.5 kg, you can fill your gas with, you can fill it up with about maybe 6,000 naira,
yeah,
5,000 naira. Later they came up that the people that are in charge of that gas are saying that Nigeria consumers are affecting their international consumers, and they prefer to be exporting our own gas that they are exploring here. They prefer to export it out, and government is allowing them. What do you call that? Connivance. Now, Dangote Refinery, why will even Nigerian government allow Dangote Refinery to be going through all the trauma that he has been going through in the past few weeks? Why should Nigerian government allow that? Here is an individual that has decided to remove the speck on your eyes that the whole Nigerians cannot remove, that are running away from, the rods they are running away from. And he say, okay, let me bear it for you. And he got pumping a lot of money. Look at his head. It's not white all through. His hair was not like that before. He said, let me bear this burden for you. Let me be your savior in this area. Let me be your redeemer in this area. And look at the way they are now crucifying him.
You know, Doctor,
how dare you? Listen. How dare you, a government, importing fuel and somebody is producing it here, and you're not saying you're not going to patronize it. Out there, the independent marketers. Are they not operating under a particular constitution? Are they not operating under a particular authority? What is the government doing by not controlling them? Why is NPC still enjoying importation instead of patronizing Dangote refinery? If not because they are out to milk and extort the people at the expense of the well-being of the citizens that you are sworn to ensure that they have lifeline in having a kind of standard of living that is commensurate to what we are having in other better climes.
Right, Dr. Kayode, you know, just as you, as we're preparing to wrap up, there's even an update this morning on the Punch newspaper that the NNPCL may even stop importing fuel as depot price nears about 1,000 naira per litre. So we're seeing a situation where we might start buying fuel at 1,000 naira. The daily trust puts at about 1,400 naira. But I'd like to shift your attention from that to another very disturbing thing. It will sort of connect us back to the protesters. Now, I recall last week we had a conversation with a political activist in regards to the protesters that were held in custody without any charge. And he went on to explain how the security operatives went as far as even finding some of these protesters wherever they were. Now, on the Daily Trust newspaper, there's a disturbing headline. It's the major read. Boko Haram kills many farmers and others in fresh Yobe attack. And according to the report, security agencies are the ones that confirmed the attack, but could not give the details of the attack nor confirm the casualty figures. Now, we've seen it over and over again. Insecurity, bandits, Boko Haram, killing farmers, which at one end affects our agricultural sector. But if it was possible for our security agencies to be able to track down on protesters, get them, arrest them, why do we constantly have a case where these security agencies are unable to figure out cases like this? They are not, according to the Daily Trust newspaper, they cannot give any detail of the attack nor confirm the casualty figures, and sometimes they're unable to even trace these things. When we hear kidnapping, we hear that they come sometimes on motorbikes or these small buses to pack people in large numbers, and they go away with them. And for hours or minutes that happens, there's no security agency.
Sorry. Everything also coming. Even beyond that, we have seen situations whereby traditional leaders, even to ban them, give them state title. So it's beyond even going with 300 vehicles.
Right.
With them, going with 300 vehicles to a banning ceremony, whereby you even have security agencies attending the ceremony.
Right.
How about that?
What exactly can we say? Thank you. How exactly can we? Because it's very disturbing. It disturbs my head a lot, as well as the head of many Nigerians, how we're unable to use all the intelligence that we have to track these people, and constantly lives are lost, agricultural sector is affected, people are displaced, but we can easily trace a protester.
Yes. You see, I've been saying it. Koti, I'm Paul, political correspondent of a CNN. And at the same time, Koti, our late father, the only late father that has been giving us money from the grave, Sonny Abacha. That any act of insurgents that a government cannot resolve within 24 to 48 hours, that same government should be taken as an accomplice. Are you with me? Remember, during the electioneering process, Shetima, the present vice president, was allegedly accused. You remember? During the last election, also remember, Pantami, the minister for what was it then? Was also allegedly accused of membership of some of these groups. And before that, somebody like me, I've been quoting Amampo of CNN and Sonny Abacha, the former head of state here, that the insecurity we are having in this nation is nothing other than self-made. How do I mean? We have been hearing disturbing news whereby aircrafts have been dropping equipment, food, water, utilities.
Right, Dr. Kayode, can we wrap up this thought in about?
In the bush.
Can we wrap up this thought in about 30 seconds? We are really, out of time.
Disturbing news whereby leadership of these terrorist groups, kidnappers, are being given chieftaincy titles. This is
a very strong allegation, Dr. Adedayo Kayode.
No, it's not an allegation. It happened in Borno State. What are you talking? Go and Google it. No, I mean, I know what I'm talking about. It happened in Borno State, whereby it was being turbine, and he came with his people there.
And he was a known terrorist.
Security chiefs there.
And this person was a known terrorist.
Look at the ammo car. Look at the ammo car that was just seized by the terrorists of Reserve from our military. What happened to it? How can that happen?
It is just right. It is just very painful that our time is. Dr. Kayode.
Why did you blow it up yourself?
Right, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. It is very disturbing and very painful.
Of insurgency, counter-insurgency.
Right. Dr. Kayode, we have to wrap up the conversation because we will soon be logged out of this conversation. It's just unfortunate that we've run out of time.
So that I don't be able to lock us out.
Right, but I assure you that we would have you back this week to continue on this conversation. When you're available, we would continue this conversation because we have to land and get more facts on this. We'll do our research as well in regards to what you said, and we'll come back and talk about this.
Do your research. It happened in Borno State.
We'll come back and talk about this. Right.
And we saw them on the high table.
Okay, but we have to go now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr. Adedayo Kayode. It's been a delight. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Are you there?
Yes. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. You know, it would have been very fantastic to, because these things, or this is a can of worm that is being opened, and we need to, actually understand what we're talking about. But it's just unfortunate that because of our time, we cannot continue the conversation. But like I said to him, we will do our research.
Yes,
we would come back and have this conversation with Dr. Adedayo Kayode to properly understand these things. Because most times when I see headlines like this, I remember having that conversation with Femi Adeyeye when we're talking about how these people, protesters or people that make certain comments or what have you, are being traced down and they are arrested, right? But the people that are constantly killing people, kidnapping people, causing havoc, we're unable to track them. Now, I went further to read the report on the Daily Trust. Now, according to the report, the security, let me just take it very briefly. The security operatives, who spoke to Daily Trust said the military personnel had been deployed in the area and the normalcy had been returned. They cannot confirm details because of network failure in the affected area. Most times it feels like it's from one reason to another reason. And the one time we tried, it was targeted. It was, you remember this issue of a wrong, where a community was bombed instead.
Yes, instead.
It's very disturbing. It disturbs my head a lot.
I wonder how terrorists could invade a defense academy and cut away so many things. How they will invade a correctional center and leave with prisoners. And we have still not been able to fish out these people.
Well, they say they catch some of them. Some of them have been arrested. Some of them have been reintegrated. But this is a whole lot, and we cannot exhaust it right now because we have to wrap up this segment. But like I said, and I'm saying it again and again, we assure you that we'll come back and have this conversation. We have to wrap up this segment of the newspaper review, but the Breakfast Cafe still continues. We'll be back with our views from the net. Do stay with us.
Do you know bad production can kill a great content idea?
Do you want to have a photo shoot, audio production, or do you need a professional voiceover artist?
Do you simply want unmatched cinematography, video production, or just event coverage, such as weddings, birthdays, or burials?
Or do you need a space for meetings or conferences? All these are possible with High Impact Studios. Don't bring down your creativity, let's help you take it high.
And out of this world with a state-of-the-art equipment and first-class studio space.
We give you the quality you deserve at the best rate.
For more details, call 0706 393 5694 or 0915 958 1881. High Impact Studios, the future.
Welcome back. It's still the Breakfast Cafe on High Impact Television. Don't forget you can also stream with us at YouTube, Facebook, or X, formerly known as Twitter, at High Impact Studio. This is where we open up the phone lines. This is where we get your opinion and thoughts about questions that shape our society. Don't forget you can also call us. The number will be displayed on your screen. Now the question for today is quite interesting, and it touches everyone living in Nigeria, not just Nigeria, but even across the world. Now, the question is, what is that one thing that traumatized you as a kid? What is that one thing that you would never forget, that gives you nightmares or bad dreams? Let me put it to... So
I'm actually thinking, I'm trying to think about that one thing that traumatized me as a child. It was definitely not mommy is coming home or daddy is coming home. No. I know there are people that were traumatized by that. It wasn't that. Let me answer you towards the end. While we're talking about it, it might just, come to my head. So,
I think what traumatized me was my dad's beating. It traumatized me because I got a whole lot of it. I was very stubborn when I was
stubborn. Yeah,
I was very stubborn.
Say that. You must have been very, very stubborn. You are very, very stubborn.
At that point, I was trying to make him stop. He was trying to also make me stop. So it was a competition, it was a battle. Like
who will stop first?
Who will stop first?
He was using the beating you, using the stubbornness.
It was.
Who won at the end of the day?
Well, he won.
Right? Don't drag with your father.
All right, so let's take the first comment. This one says, growing up in Lagos, I experienced trauma when I lost my parents in a tragic car accident.
So sad, so
it was
sorry.
painful.
So
it was
sorry.
a painful experience that shaped my life and made me realize the importance of cherishing loved ones. This is Grace from Yaba. I quite agree. You know, sometimes you don't value what you have until you lose it, and when you lose someone very close to your heart, I mean, when you wake up sometimes and you can't have certain conversations with your loved ones, it really gets you. So I understand where Grace is coming from.
We're so sorry, Grace, that you had to go through that. But let's take Tunde from Ikoyi. Tunde says, as a child, I struggled with bullying in school. It affected my self-esteem and made me feel isolated. However, I overcame it by finding supportive friends and engaging in activities that boosted my confidence. It is so fantastic and interesting to note that Tunde eventually found people that were able to help him out of that situation. It was, I can just imagine how that would have been when you're constantly bullied by somebody.
All right, this next one is quite concerning. Yes, it says, I witnessed domestic violence between my parents.
Oh.
It was a traumatic experience that made me fear relationships. But I've learned to seek help and support. I'm working towards healing.
This person doesn't have a name.
This person doesn't have it, but it's quite touching. Because sometimes, you know, when we experience certain things in our parents, at home, it gives us this mentality that, oh, maybe marriage is not for me. Maybe how can I even be able to love someone? I mean, imagine someone, you know, experiencing, you know, violence
at a tender age.
At a tender
Sometimes
age.
it also shapes how they view life, and if proper care is not taken, that person might also become an abuser, because the person might feel, okay, this is how it is. This is a normal thing. This is how my dad treats my mom, so this is how I'm supposed to treat my wife. So it takes someone that understands that this is not how things are. Things can be different. Things should be different to deal with that. And you know, seeing this next comment has made me remember one of the things that traumatized me, but I'll say it only traumatized me, let's say, a couple of years, and you know, I was able to deal with it. I think I'm trying to remember how old I was. I was in my teenage years anyways, and we were robbed, right? It was in the middle of the night, and we don't use our back door, and these people came in through the back door. We just noticed our lights went off, and I saw my life flash in front of me. I had my mom, my brother, and my sister in the house with me, and my elder siblings, by the way. And it was so aggressive, the banging on the door and all of that. And somehow I just went to hide under a table in the room. And my mom, they had to tell my mom, if you don't open the door, we'll break it down. And she opened the door. I was hearing everything. They had machetes, knives. I don't know if the gun was real, but because of where I was, I just stayed there. I was praying that I wasn't going to be found, right? And my sister was there, my brother. My sister just got a new laptop. My brother just got a new phone, right? So my brother hid his new he hid one of, I think he hid the new laptop and gave them the phone. You know, and while they were about to collect my mommy's jewelries and all of that, while they were about leaving, they found the laptop that my brother hid. So out of the anger and frustration, they had a machete. Because funny enough, I still feel like it was a miracle, because first off, none of my family members even said, where is Sarah? Now, if they had said, where is Sarah, they would realize that there was someone else in the house. And it was just, I just felt like a miracle happened and I became invisible, because the table wasn't so high. It had a cloth just covering it a little. So I could peep and see. They had a machete on my brother's head, and they were like, why did you hide this? And my mom kept begging and begging and begging, and they just left. And when they left, I just heard my mom say, where is Sarah? It was so like sudden, and we locked the doors and everything. Later we found out there was somebody that is actually very close to us, because we don't use the back doors, and it was for somebody to know where our switch was changeover. And it traumatized me. It traumatized me for years. At the slightest sound at night, I panic. You know, I had to deal with it and get past it. I panic, and I'm always I used to be scared of the night a lot, but going into university, service year, I had to stay alone at the point. I was able to deal with it, and I always say, if there's anything, I don't want to ever experience something like that, because it can mess with your head a lot. Seeing this comment actually, you know, triggered that memory of one of the things that I think, you know, traumatized me as a child growing up. But let's quickly take Kende. This is Kende from Ibadan, and Kende says, I experienced trauma when I was robbed and attacked on my way home from school. It made me feel vulnerable, but I've since learned self-defense techniques and become more aware of my surroundings. Kende, thank you for your comment.
Thank you for your comment, Kende. Let's see this one. Seesaw Rides had a one-time accident with it where I fell on my only good right arm, which would have a huge effect on my life. This is a maker from Owerri. Quite interesting.
You know, you can also be a part of the conversation. Tell us one thing that traumatized you growing up. 0812-182-015. I remember another one. I feel like this, one of the things this segment does is it helps you, it brings to your memory some of the things that you've probably pushed back. And it's fantastic that I get to share these things with you, because I love you so much. And for a long time, I didn't like water because I had a very bad experience with it. I didn't know how to swim. And I was taken to an amusement park somewhere around Ikeja many years back. I wasn't even a teenager then. And we had these floaters. We're given these floaters, right? And it's all the swimming pool where you go through the
tunnel.
Yeah, you have to go through it, and then you land in the pool.
I think I know the place. I've been there.
And I didn't know how to swim. There were instructors around, but they were like, okay, just try. Now I went only to look back, and I had two people that were plus size coming behind me. Yeah,
the force.
So the force,
boom,
pushed me, and I saw my life flash. But because there were instructors and all of that around, a lot of water came out of me. And for a long time, if you say what, what? Because I liked water growing up. There was a time I fell into a drum and they were looking for me in the house. I liked water growing up. But you see, after that incident, I don't go anywhere close. But fast forward to a couple years back, 2022, I had the opportunity of traveling, and I was able to, okay, let me learn this thing again, let me do this again. And I was able to manage my way, but I still would not, my leg must touch the ground in any pool I find myself in. It traumatized me a lot, I must say.
All right, let's take this one. This one says, growing up in Enugu then, we struggled with poverty and hunger. It was a difficult experience, but it taught me resilience and the importance of hard work. It's a memory I can never forget in a hurry. This is Joseph from Aja. Quite interesting.
It can be very painful having to deal with hunger and poverty. It's one of the things we don't pray for anyone to experience. Basic things of life, I pray that we all have. We're all blessed with the basic things of life: food, clothing, shelter. That's all a lot of Nigerians are asking for. Right, but let's take Temi from Egbeda. Temi says, I faced discrimination due to my ethnicity. It was a painful experience, but I've learned to embrace my identity and advocate for self-inclusivity. Till date, whenever I remember, I still feel the trauma of what happened. Now, why do I say case of stereotype here? Because of our ethnicity. It's just like people that stereotype you because of your color, your religion, your beliefs, your personal beliefs, and then now ethnicity. We need to understand that we have to embrace one another. I always tell people something. The fact that you think opinion A is what works for you doesn't mean that my opinion B is invalid. It just means that's what you believe in. So don't invalidate my own opinion, or don't make it feel like I don't know what I'm saying or I'm less of myself. People need to understand that and respect people's opinions, beliefs. That is not your religion doesn't mean that you disrespect it. Or the person that you are fair doesn't mean you disrespect someone that is dark, and vice versa. You know, excuse me, we need to understand all of this.
Now, this one is quite interesting. I think I have a similar story like this. It says, as a child, I experienced trauma when I lost my best friend in a street fight. It made me realize the importance of cherishing friendships and living life to the fullest. This is Aloma from Oshodi. Yes, I remember one of the things, Aloma, I beg your pardon. One of the things that still traumatizes me was when I lost my dad. It was quite painful. It was unexpected. Like, it happened in the blink of an eye. In less than 3 days, he was sick, and 2 days after he got treatment, he was doing fine, and next thing, what do you know, he was gone. And you know, I keep replaying everything in my head every time I think about it. Like, what could I have done? How could the situation have been avoided? What could have happened differently? You know, it's still traumatizing me, especially. That's why when you lose someone very close, you can't get a hold of it. You can't recover from it. They will leave that space, that scar in your mind, and you keep wondering. There are certain conversations I would love to have. There are certain questions I would like to ask, and I know it's only him that can actually answer it.
You see, this part of losing loved ones, I was doing my best not to actually delve into it, because it's going to be a whole lot of emotions, right? It's going to, when you've lost people that are very, very dear to you. You know, I lost my dad when I was 2, so I can't really remember so much, but I've lost people that are like the closest part of my heart. You know, I've seen their lives go, I've seen them just pass on, and you know, no matter how much you try, no other, how do I put it, that space
is always there,
cannot be filled.
Yes,
you know, it is a vacuum, it is empty, it is there. So you see, the whole conversation around losing loved ones, family members, best friends, colleague or what have you, it's very deeper than words can put, and it takes a lot to, you might never get over it. Now, what I mean by you might never get over it doesn't mean that you will not heal, but a part of you, every day, you still remember this person, the memories, the relationship, it still comes at you, and it just takes a lot to put yourself together and move past it.
You know, I remember when I lost my dad, my cousin told me something. He said, it won't hit you now. It is later, it will hit you.
Yeah.
And it was very true. Throughout the whole burial, everything, I was calm. But it was after the whole thing just started coming like a wildfire. And, you know, so many thoughts. But, well, let's move on. We have another one here.
This is Rita. Rita from Lagos says, I struggled with low self-esteem due to constant criticism from my peers, but I've since learned to focus on my strengths and surround myself with positive influences. Rita, we're proud that you were able to navigate through that phase.
All right, this next one says, growing up in Jos, I experienced trauma when I witnessed a violent conflict with rival groups. Fingers crossed. It made me fearful of conflict, but I've since learned to promote peace and understanding. Adana from Jos. I mean, Jos is also known for, you know, community clashes and all that. So I can only imagine. I can't even say what she went through, but I can only imagine what, you know, going through that kind of sight would have been.
Just like people that have seen people being killed, like you have witnessed a murder before. It would mess with your head. I don't pray for anybody to experience that, but it can be very, 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 very traumatizing. Murders, accidents, some things you just don't wish to see it. You don't pray for it. You don't. If you've experienced it before, you do everything that you can to make sure that such an incident. So just like this clash between rival groups, it must have been very intense.
Very intense.
And it's just, one can only picture what Adana, if I'm correct, had to experience, you know, by that sin. But let's quickly take Rotimi from Yabate. Rotimi says, I faced pressure to conform to societal expectations. It was a challenging experience, but I've learned to embrace my individuality and pursue my passions. Proud of you, Rotimi. Thank you for your comment.
All right, let's see if we have more. Okay, yes. This one says, as a child, I remember how my mom had to do things alone when my so-called father ran away from responsibilities. She single-handedly took good care of us. I beg pardon. She single-handedly took good care of the 5 of us alone, no family to help, and 2 of my older siblings had to drop out from school in order to make things easy for the younger ones. So much sacrifices made there. Thanks to them, I'm educated today because they sacrificed this for my sake. Thank goodness for where we are today, but this eats me deep whenever I remember it could have been better if there was an helper. That is, my father helping my mom train us. This is Queen. Wow, Queen from Great Yabatek. I mean,
it's I can actually relate. You know, I can actually relate to everything that Queen talked about, because having to do life with a single parent, you know, can be a lot, especially if there's no support. But it's interesting to know that these single parents, through the help of God and, you know, sort of strength comes in, they're able to manage it. I am the last child, right? And I have siblings ahead of me. And, you know, when my dad passed, we had a lot of people tell my mom, oh, take them out, take them to public schools, or let them sit at home for a while and all of that. And what was my mom doing then? She was selling food, right? But funny enough, she was able to, she said, no, my children, no, they will stay in their schools and all of that. But some of the things that helped us is, my dad was a principal. So the school where he was, you know, presiding over, just first of all they gave all of us some sort of scholarship, right? For that period. So it sort of simplified things and made things a bit easy. So I can relate to what Queen is saying, having to have a mother or a father raise children alone without support from family or what have you. It can be a lot, and if you're not careful, it can traumatize you and put you in a state of disarray.
All right, I think this is where we would draw the curtains for views from the net. Stay tuned, we still have a whole lot more. We'll be right back.
Something big is in town. Something powerful and majestic. A mammoth creation destined to become a legend by all who encounter it. High Impact Planet, Nigeria's biggest family theme park, with facilities designed for friends, families, or large groups under a relaxing atmosphere. Be welcomed by wowing displays of animatronics, thrill out with realistic arcade games, or enjoy a number of thrilling heart-racing park rides. Experience the 5D and 12D cinemas, and challenge your mates with bumper cars and go-kart races. Don't forget to slide into the ice rink, or simply take time out to enjoy a pizza at our delightful restaurant and dessert spot, or at the exquisite club lounge. High Impact Planet, 12 Lagos Ibadan Expressway, Ibafo, opposite MFM Prayer City. Visit high-impactplanet.com for details and inquiries. Fun just got real.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Cafe. We've taken a look at our views from the net, and right now we'll be delving into another segment where we'll be talking about accountability and transparency, strengthening institutions and checks on power. Now you ask yourself, what exactly are we talking about here when we say accountability and transparency? Now, to kick off, in today's complex and interconnected world, the concept of accountability and transparency have become essential pillars for the functioning of effective and just societies. Now, these principles are not merely ethical ideals, but practical necessities for ensuring that power is exercised responsibly and in the public interest. As institutions across the globe grapple with challenges ranging from corruption to inefficiency, the need to strengthen mechanisms that promote accountability and transparency has never been more urgent. Accountability ensures that those in positions of authority are answerable for their actions, fostering a culture where power is exercised with integrity and respect for the law. Transparency, on the other hand, enables citizens to access information, scrutinize decisions, and participate more fully in the democratic process. Together, these principles create a robust system of checks and balances, preventing the abuse of power and promoting trust between government and the people they serve. It also strengthens this aspect within institutions, not only enhancing their effectiveness, but also fortifies the very foundation of democratic governance, ensuring that power remains in the hands of the people. Now, joining us to have this conversation this morning is Adebi Shijibome Bennett. He is a social commentator. Good morning, Adebi Shijibome Bennett. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers. Thank you for having me.
Right. You know, we're talking about accountability and transparency, strengthening institutions and checks on power. Let's kick off with this. How does transparency, first off, contribute to reducing the major or one of the major issues, which is corruption, and improving the public trust in governance, particularly in Nigeria?
Yes, thank you. The first thing we have to establish is the Constitution already grants a lot of processes for accountability and transparency. And when we talk about transparency, we cannot separate it from accountability, and the two are interwoven. Because if you are not accountable, you won't be transparent. And for everybody that gets into public office or into positions of responsibility, and with sinister motive, the first thing they want to do is to make sure that accountability is not what they will promote. So, having said that, the three tiers of government, we have the legislature, we have the judiciary, and we have the executive. The executive have the power of execution, which is sometimes, like in the case in Nigeria and the case of the US, too much powers are seen to be vested in the executive, be it the governors or the president. And we have the legislature who are supposed to look at those things and look at, oh, this is too much power. Can we reduce this power so that we become more accountable, we become more transparent, like what is going on within the inter-party advisory committees and councils, which I watched on TV yesterday, whereby people are saying it's better to extend the immunity to governors, to executives, so that they also can be accountable, not just when they leave office, but right when they are in office. And if that is done, that's another leap for our democracy. And the judiciary are also a check on accountability and transparency, especially in interpreting the laws and making sure that the law is it's followed the way it should be. Look at local government autonomy. They've made a pronouncement on that, and from now on, the other corruption agency, apart from EFCC, if you can remind me the name now.
Are you talking about the ICPC?
ICPC, thank you. They've reminded the chairman of local governments that when our eyes are now on you, so if you want to behave like governors, you don't have immunity. Immediately we pick you up. So those are the ways we can. That's the way the Constitution has made it to a balanced state. Now the next level is the fifth arm of the, let me say, of the polity, which is what you belong to in the studio, the media, and the civil society organizations.
Yeah.
So our responsibility is to bring out what we see as misdemeanor that any government is trying to hide or is engaged in. So when I see journalists in court come to social media, ask the questions from populists that, oh, this this thing is happening. We should ask them questions, and I ask back. If you ask me now, who I go ask? You are the journalist. You are supposed to be doing the investigation to educate me, to inform me. Then the CSOs, many of the CSOs in Nigeria now are partisan. Many, let me say some, so that because people will ask me that where is my facts and figures?
How did you come about the statistics?
Yes. So let's say some of them are partisan. So you see EFCC working and CSO going on the street and saying this governor should have been given fair hearing, due process, as if the court is not a court of fair hearing. So you see so many shenanigans. But these are the people that or the agencies that are supposed to foster this accountability and transparency. And the last part of it is we the citizens, because the NLC, because they are not civil society organizations, but they have enormous power. They have that power to check on the government. So because 4 or 5 years ago, during the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, the ministers at that time started something called this CNG initiative that we have all embraced now. And 100,000 cars were supposed to be rolled out. To be rolled out and even converted in the first phase of it, maybe every six months. The NLC was part of that. Nothing was said about that. The NLC didn't follow up on that. But when a subsidy was removed and it became a problem, that was when the NLC went on strike. And I asked, you were part of this committee. If this thing had been put in place earlier, we wouldn't be where we are now. And let me remind you as well, when the refineries were sold in 2003 or 2007, that was when Obasanjo was leaving. It was these same people that said they will go on strike, they should revert the sale. And if those sales had been made that time to the likes of Dangote and the rest of them, we wouldn't have done extra maybe 16 years of turnaround maintenance. Wasted so much money. And it's the same Dangote that we said wanted to steal our public asset that we are waiting for now, or we have waited for years. So those are the things that we should all look at. Let us leave politics aside. When elections have come and gone, we forget about election. We look at how to build the nation. That's how to foster accountability and transparency.
All right, thank you very much. It brings me to my next question. Technology has taken over the whole world. It's global now. And when we talk about transparency, sometimes it bothers me when you hear certain institutions got burnt and there are no records, and you wonder, are we still doing analog? So in what ways can technology be leveraged to enhance transparency in governance and the private sector operations?
Yes, technology has made things easy in every aspect, be it security, be it information gathering and information storage. So, and technology has even gone ahead to make sure that energy storage is easier to achieve. So, if at this 21st century, or in this 21st century, we still talk to ourselves and say some things that are not commonsensical, then we have to look at ourselves and do the needful.
Okay.
Any establishment as at this time, we know where we're coming from and we know it's going to be gradual. But there's some very germane institutions that we should not allow, we should not delay in making sure that technology is established in their processes. Look at the judiciary, for example. I've been a litigant before, and I was in a court, and you know what the judge was going to, in writing everything I was saying, everything my lawyer was saying down, and that's still what obtains in almost all the courts in the country. But Lagos State, maybe Abuja, and a few states have been able to digitize it.
Okay.
So now you see that the judges are relieved in those states. So I had at a point in look at what is happening in Kano State. during the August protest.
And bad governance protest.
Yes, and bad governance protest, and we had that. The court was besieged, and a part of it was burnt, and they don't have the documents that they wanted to use to prosecute the immediate past governor. You know, it's absurd at this age and time. So what we have to do is to prioritize. We know where we're coming from, but it's the 21st century. We have the youth, we have everything we need to make these things happen. So we could just, I won't blame anybody for now, but it's not just, it doesn't make sense for us. The world is looking at us and we just be laughing at us, because smaller countries have gone ahead. So we just need to do the needful and stop the nonsense we're doing.
Talking about the world looking at us, some developing countries gone ahead of us and all of that, I'd like to connect this to international bodies now. Talking about accountability, transparency, how can international bodies as well as the agreements influence the strengthening of accountability and transparency in our national institutions?
They've been trying, and they've done a lot in terms of releasing statistics, releasing rankings. Transparency International is part of that, and for a while now Nigeria has gone a bit up the ladder. So they can't do more than that, because every nation is sovereign. Every nation is entitled to how its own government is being run. But what they can do is to look at what is happening in every nation and release rankings. And these rankings, at the end of the day, affect how you get benefits in terms of loans, in terms of grants. So if you are not transparent or accountable enough, investors will not even come. That's why the issue of the sale of the Gencos and the Discos are being like a burden on us, because we cannot revert or revoke the sale of those things, because we will look like unserious people, and foreign investors will not want to come into the country. And that was what the former Minister of Power said, Fashola, which is true, because if you can do that to your own people, then what will you do to investors? Look at PID, we were saved from that. Another one that I can't pronounce now because of the way the name is that season our presidential jets up and down our properties. So we must be able to make sure that we do the needful and put the right processes in place.
Right.
So because these people will always release the ranking that will maybe help us or not help us at the end of the day.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. What are the potential risks and downsides, of overly rigid accountability measures in institutions?
I didn't get that question, so if you can repeat it and maybe rephrase it so that I can get it very well.
Okay, what are the downsides of overly rigid accountability measures in Nigeria?
Okay, you mean when you are so rigid in making sure accountability is entrenched,
yes,
or when you are rigid in not changing your ways to be accountable?
The former.
Okay, so I don't think there is a disadvantage to doing something good effectively or in a very good way. So the only thing it will do is to make sure that people scrutinize you more. And trust me, if you don't have anything to hide, you will welcome. So out that you are accountable and really transparent. People will look at it in a very finicky way. They will look at it meticulously. And at the end of the day, if there are questions to ask, they will ask questions. So I don't think there are downsides to it than the fact that if they can distract you a bit in your processes because you ask more questions. But if you have a corporate affairs unit, you have like a PR unit, that's their duty is even to be doing that.
All right.
So for me, I don't think there is any downside to it.
Okay, Shijibomi Bennett, just before we let you off the hook, let's take this last question now. How can transparency and accountability be balanced with the need for confidentiality in sensitive areas such as our national security issues?
Fantastic. So there are some areas that we don't get to. There are some areas, there's some information that can never be released. But it's just very unfortunate that we politicize everything. When the NLC, I love to use illustrations so that it's clearer. When the NLC president was invited, people said it should have been, what they invited him for should have been, they could have called him on phone, they could have released it that this is why they're inviting him. And I'm like, this is a criminal investigation we're talking about. So if he has done, even though the police made a bit of drama about it, and the NLC also made a bit of drama about it, the issue is, this is a criminal investigation. The police is not supposed to say this is what they think the NLC president has done, and that is why it's a questioning process. And today or yesterday, we've seen and we've heard why he was invited. We've seen the reason and we've had it in the news.
Right.
So those are the things. There are places, national security can never be compromised. It can never. So irrespective of what anybody says. So, but at the same time, we should not, politicians and our leaders should not use national security as an alibi to hunt down the opposition.
Right.
So we should have a balance there.
We should know where to draw the line and where to build our boundaries. That's a very safe place to land on this conversation as we wrap it up with you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Adebi Shijibomi Bennett. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on this conversation, accountability and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Right, that was quite an insightful one. Adebi Shijibomi Bennett is a social commentator, giving us more insight on this. I like where we landed. No matter how inquisitive or how transparent or how accountable you want the government to be, there are lines that cannot be crossed.
Yes.
There are barriers, there are boundaries, that's the word, that you don't cross. And we need to understand that, especially when it comes to our national security issues. At the same time, what needs to be made public should be made public and open for the people.
I also like how he made examples of the NLC case, which he was right that the police shouldn't have disclosed such sensitive information about him.
They didn't disclose it. It was brought out for questioning, and it was just, people
the
were wondering.
Financing charge should have been because it made it, it blew out of proportion and it created so many controversies and all that. I think that was what he was trying to say, that, it should have been, just wait till he comes. Yes, it should have been low-key, wait till he comes, then you ask him questions, and if he decides to blow it out of proportion after that, so be it.
Right.
So I think, but this is where we would wrap up this segment. The Breakfast Cafe still continues. Please stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Oa. I was part of those people that went for NYC orientation camp, Bash Beach Stream 2. We were part of all those people that was shifted to Bash C. I was later given call up later. I'm reporting from Niger. This early morning they woke up us that we should be going back home. Some of us do not have transport fare. They say we should be going back home. Look at us. Look at us, please. People should help us target NYSC. People should help us target NYSC. Say we should be going back home. Yesterday they say we should come by 5:30 this morning. That the portal will be open. Only for us to go to the hall, and they said that we should be going home. They said that we should be going home. They came from Edo State to Niger. Spend more than 40K, and they say we should be going home. They say we should be going home. Look at people. They say we should be going home. They say we should be going home. Please, people should help us to target Mercy, please. People should be able to target Mercy, please. Please.
Now that video you just watched is a trending video of one of the core members out of so many that are affected. Now according to reports, from what she said, NYSC moved her from batch B stream 2 to batch C stream 1. Now, but then they changed it again to batch B stream 2 and asked her to report to the orientation camp. Upon getting to the camp, they are telling them to go back as they are still batch C. You know, this is very disturbing, and one of the things she said is some of them have transport money to go home. She spent about 40,000 naira to come from Edo State to Niger State. And the orientation camp opened last Wednesday, which was the 28th of August, and they had their swearing in on Friday. And a few uncertainties here. Did they partake in the swearing in ceremony? Because if they were moved to batch B stream 2, they would have been a part of it because the camp opened last Wednesday. Did they partake in it? Did they do all of the processing? Were they registered? Were they given their kits? Because we need to understand these things clearly. If they went through all of those processes and then today you wake them up that you should be going home, or yesterday, this actually happened yesterday, you wake them up that they should be going home, that's very disturbing. Are we saying we don't have a proper system where we know? I know that because I know a couple of people that had to go with this batch B stream too, and they were stalling, postponing. Today they'll say they'll release it, tomorrow they don't release it, and there's been a lot of readjustments. A couple of people that were posted to Lagos, they were taken to Osun and Ogun to camp, but they were posted to Lagos. Some that were posted to Abuja were taken to Adamawa to camp. A lot of things have really changed, but having to have people go through this, I think the body as a whole needs to address the situation and let us understand why this is happening. Why are they asking them to go home? Is that an error from their end, or is it the core members that did not properly understand the message? Were they sworn in? Were they welcomed? Were they registered? Let's get all of these facts.
From my experience joining NYSC, I think it's after you get to camp, I think a week after, that's when the swearing in comes. But I don't know how it's done these days. I remember it was a week after I got to camp. I did my registration, finished with everything, because we were made to believe that after swearing you cannot come into camp. I don't know how things are done this day, but this is just, this thing. But talking about accountability, this is where accountability comes in. How would you put certain people's lives at risk? Because let's face it, their lives have been put at risk, because getting to Niger and going back again, their lives is being put at risk. No comment, nothing. I mean, there have been calls for NYSC to be disbanded, to be scrapped. This is a good case. People can make this.
Well, I wouldn't want to agree with you, because there are some comments. Let's take some of the comments. Some of the comments are saying otherwise, that some of these people were not actually giving call-up letter and all of that. So until we get an official statement from the body understanding why this happened, I don't think it's okay for us to conclude that that's enough reason for them to disband NYSC. But you want to give us some of the comments? All right,
this is Ngwa says, my dear, even Nasara, they asked them to go back home. Imagining far after spending transportation and putting yourself in danger. It's quite well. I think, just like you said, let's wait for NYSC's response. This is Vicky Bennett. I never wanted to go for service. I lost 2 good paying jobs just because of this so-called NYSC certificate. Now I'm planning to go after 3 years of graduating. Well, of course, you need NYSC certificate to get a job in Nigeria. Now, Hair by Sita says, this my mind when no go NYSC since 3 years ago. I go still they follow the heart. Nigeria is crazy right now. I can't deal. I go don't cry, tire. Let's see if I have more comment now. Mr. Nye says Nigerian youngs should get sense. Must you go for NYC? Yes, you must. I didn't go for NYC because of insecurity. Rather, I do my master's degree with that period. Well,
if you know what came to my mind when I saw this comment, it would be so harsh, but you know, he said he did his master's, but it doesn't speak like someone that actually I'm sorry. What am I trying to say? You're saying that Nigerians, they have to go for NYC. It's a compulsory program, except you don't intend to run for any post, you don't intend to really work in the country or what have you. I understand that a lot of people just do it for the sake of doing. Yes, you don't know when it's going to come in handy, but it is a cost. It is part of your program. That's why when you finish school and you're cleared, you are mobilized for service, for any major job opportunity or any major political role or what have you. You have to present your NYSC certificate. I understand that these days, because even before now, insecurity issues and all of that, but it is a course that you have to go for. But we just need to get things straight. Doing your master's does not replace NYSC. Even Nigerians and all of that school outside the country, still come for service. There's a name they call them. We saw a couple of them on camp that time. I can't really remember. They still come and fulfill that requirement, you know, even if they're going to go back. You just need to have it. But until we get an official statement from NYSC understanding why exactly this is happening, why core members are being asked to go back home, I think we should look out for that update before we can drop a conclusion on this issue.
And also there should be some form of well, I won't call it compensation, but something has to happen. Would they now fall into batch C, or probably I don't know what other batch comes after C?
Yeah, batch C stream 1. This is batch B stream 2. Okay. There's going to be batch C stream 1, batch C stream 2. So maybe that's where they're going to fall under.
Well, all in all, what matters is they go for their youth service and they are done
before
with
the clock 30. Oh no, before 30.
Oh no, before 30. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at what happened to Kemi Adeosun. So, and of course, that's why you actually need a certificate. I mean, if you look at the current minister who had the problem with NYSC.
Is it Hassan Natu?
Yes, Hassan Natu and all that. You know, so you need NYSC, whether you like it or not. So just, I mean, close your eyes, if I may say, and spend that 1 year. Even if you call it a wasteful 1 year, it's not a wasteful 1 year.
It's not wasteful. At least you get to collect allowance.
Yes.
Alawi. Especially now that we increased minimum wage
to 70,000 naira.
Yeah, Alawi will increase. Some of us collected 18,500. Some people 33,000. So you might just be lucky. Yours might be 70 or 77,000 or upwards. You know. Right. But that's it on our trending story for today. Let's give you a weather forecast just before we go.
Welcome back. Like I always say, it takes a village to make this show possible. It takes a whole lot. So Special thanks to everyone who made it possible, from our producers to our directors, Victor Mixels, technical crew, but a bigger thanks is to you out there watching us live. So let's do this again tomorrow. Same station, same time. I am Olumide Shokoya. Enjoy the rest of your day. And
don't forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms at High Impact Studios, High Impact TV, and The Breakfast Cafe _ I am Sarah Owusu-Ansah. Until I see you next time, have yourself a fantastic Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Face of Ezekiel, the journey has been good, bad. It's been here and there, truthfully. The first year was like, something you just started for the first time. It looked like, how's it gonna go? Along the line, it turned out okay. Second year, we put more effort, but the thing is, every year it gets better.
Actually, this is the 6th edition of Face of Ezekiel. Since 6 years ago, we've been working on this particular pageantry, and it's not really easy in this kind of economy where you come out, try to make sure that you help people that are there, especially the girl child, trying to make sure that they are out of poverty and out of depending on people always to give to them.
Face of Ezekiel is important